Scott MacClatchey is with us on the phone, and he's kind of our go-to law enforcement expert who handles a lot of officer-involved shootings. And so, Scott, if you could tell us what the immediate response will be once people are taken to the hospital and the scene is secure, where will the investigation go first?
Well, the first investigation will be obviously a criminal investigation conducted probably either by CMPD or sometimes, since it was an outside agency involved, there may be an election to have the SBI, the State Bureau of Investigation, conduct the criminal investigation. But certainly securing the scene, securing evidence, identifying witnesses, whether they're available to be talked to now or have to be talked to later. Those are the first priorities in any officer-involved shooting.
Scott, it's John Paul. Tell me, you're familiar with cases and incidents like this. How odd or how rare is it for this to unfold at lunch hour at a diner in a busy part of town?
Well, it's very unusual, and I don't even know really the basic details of what happened, but I understand it's a steak and shake, and it is, based upon my own law enforcement experience, it is very bold and brazen for anyone to enter a location like that armed to conduct a robbery when there are multiple patrons around. That really ups the ante in terms of the seriousness and what the person might be willing to do.
Scott, how important will potential body camera video or surveillance video from inside the restaurant be in this investigation?
It'll be very important, but there's always a note of caution in that. Body camera video, as good as it is it's linear. It's one-dimensional. There may be things that an officer reacts to in terms of movement, of mannerisms, of what some cues that an armed suspect might give off that might cause an officer to react that may not be picked up on that one-dimensional footage. But generally, as a general rule, yes, it's certainly helpful because it adds context to what happened.
Can you also explain what the law states when it comes to when an officer is allowed or legally correct in opening fire?
The law is really very clear. North Carolina has a statute, and the statutory law is the same as the case law, and it's the same as the case law under the federal standard, which certainly applies as well, and that is an officer may use deadly force in defense of himself or another person when it reasonably appears that the officer is facing or another person is facing an imminent threat of either death or serious injury. That's not a direct quote, but it's pretty close.
Scott, we had a restaurant full of people there eating. We also had a restaurant full of employees. And as we're watching, we're seeing these employees hugging. We're seeing officers talking with them. You know, whatever they went through in there obviously had a major effect and impact on them. They're hugging. There's tears being shed. How do police try to interview all of these people? How long is this going to take when you're talking, dozens of people who witnessed this? And what kind of things are they trying to garner from each one of these people?
Well, how long is anyone's guess? And what they're obviously trying to gather from them is what they saw and heard. I have seen investigations, for example, that CMPD has done before in officer-involved shootings, and they are very, very thorough. And, you can look through a shooting investigation file and see all these people that were contacted as witnesses and say, my gosh, there are so many, and then you find out that a lot of them maybe did not see the critical events, but yet they will still be talked to, and it will all be documented. That's just whether it's CMPD or the SBI, whoever investigates this criminally will have a lot of people to talk to, and it's going to take time. It's not all going to happen today, probably.
Obviously, what they witnessed in there had a dramatic impact on them.